Pardon me if I skip the introductions and the niceties. I won't be looking at the camera much because I truly need to get ready. I'm super busy. My midwife had to drop me from care at 34 weeks, which means I have a very short time to find a high-risk OB. I'm trying to look my best because you get treated better when you look your best. You do. And this isn't about me, this is about my child. I'm kind of a no makeup gal 90% of the time these days, but studies do show that you get treated better in every way, shape, or form the more makeup you have on. I'm not talking like porn star makeup. I'm talking a glamorous full face of makeup. You get treated better. And when I'm carrying a baby around in me, I want the best medical treatment that I can get. So I'm trying to look my best this morning, which is a pretty tall order. This is a side note. You know, I've been a big proponent of home birth. I've had 3 beautiful natural births. 2 were at home, 1 was in a birthing center. And I know that it was better care for the baby than most people get. The one problem with home birth is that if something does go wrong, where you have to switch to emergency medical care, you know, I'm 34 weeks already, so it's hard to even find a doctor who will take me. Am I just gonna take the first one that comes along, or am I gonna try to find the best one? And so, you know, because I went for the best medical care, which if you have everything normal, home birth really is the best, in my humble opinion. But if something is abnormal, now I have to get subpar medical care because I have to just settle for whatever doctor I can find.
Once there was a castle, and who lived in the castle was a turtle princess and her pet butterfly. Not
We didn't learn much at the first or second ultrasound, so of course they ordered an anatomy scan, and this is a little bit of calm before we found out that poop really hit the fan. And my midwife was kind enough to go ahead and keep my appointment, even though she was technically dropping me from care. All they saw was extra fluid and a small baby.
I have a few minutes till I have to leave for our anatomy scan and thought I would update you guys because I covet your prayers. Since the last update of our first ultrasound, a lot has progressed and nothing too concerning. I mean, the baby is okay, but things are getting worse. Like my amniotic fluid has grown a lot even since the first ultrasound. If you watch that one, you know I have polyhydramnios. No big deal, except I cannot find a local doctor who wants to take a high-risk patient at 34 weeks along because the population growth in Idaho has exploded so much that pretty much every doctor in my area is slammed full. A lot of them just don't really want another high-risk patient right now. And my midwife, who had to, legally, she had to drop me from her care. Home birth midwives in Idaho are not allowed to serve high-risk patients, or high-risk mothers, I guess you could say. I'm not really her patient because normal birth is not a sickness, you know. But she's floored. She's been a midwife for a long time, I think close to 20 years or something, and she's never seen a doctor just actually turn away a patient. Usually you interview several doctors and you pick the one that you, sorry, okay, this is here. I'm probably not going to look in the camera a ton because I'm really getting ready. I do want to update you guys because I lust after your prayers. I have no pride about that because I just want this baby here safely, and I want to be able to safely care for the baby when it comes, he or she, when he or she comes. The thing with polyhydramnios is that a lot of times they induce you, and But there are countless stories of friends of mine and people I just read so much of people going into labor before their induction. It's totally normal to go into labor before your induction date, which would mean that with my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I would not make it to a doctor that is more than 5 minutes from my house. I would end up in the ER. So the only doctor we have found so far is about an hour away during rush hour. I begged this practice to give me a referral to closer to my house. They refused. My midwife has tons of relationships with doctors and hospital midwives, and they have rejected me. And there's got to be somebody, we've asked a lot of people. Let me back up. I'm not a charismatic Christian. I'm a Christian, but I'm not a charismatic Christian theology-wise. I'm not into feelings. I do think that we need to remember that the heart is deceitful and run everything through scripture. That being said, I do believe in the Holy Spirit guiding us. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. Nothing against charismatics. I'm not one. So when I say that my gut is telling me something, when I was about 12 years old, there was a man that walked into our yard, and I immediately had this gut feeling that he was a villain. Then he came up and gave a very familiar hello to my sister, asked her how she liked the toys that he had given her. I think maybe I was 13 or so. I don't know how old I was when we lived in Wendover, Nevada. I immediately, just my gut knew. I told my parents. I didn't even know what a child molester was. I don't think I really understood all the mechanics of that yet. But I immediately told my parents, and they took appropriate actions. And it was just a gut feeling. I didn't necessarily understand all the information, but I was able to put it all together. And this is one of those times where, now my midwife believes me because she knows my situation, but a lot of people, including doctors we've tried to talk to, are just like, oh, don't worry, we'll just induce you. And but in my gut, I absolutely know that the best thing for this child and for me, because you realize I have to take care of the child postpartum, so my health does matter too. The best thing for both of us long term is if I have a doctor that is close by in case I go into labor prematurely. A lot of people have believed me. That's one of the reasons that I don't like to talk about the details too much, because you get a lot of unsolicited advice from people who don't know what Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is and why preterm labor is such a thing for that, and why induction is not a good idea for someone with Ehlers-Danlos, and how induction it's really something you should do as a last resort. If someone's mentioning that to you at the very first appointment, that is... America has like the worst outcomes for women and babies of any first world country as far as mortality goes, in not only birth but in the first year postpartum. Induction leads to a lot of health problems for mommy and baby. It really, really does. And so that's something that you want to do as a last resort. I appreciate you guys letting me fill you in. I don't know how much I'll include, and I hope that it's a good report and that baby is fine and mommy's fine. The early ultrasound really couldn't tell us that much. They could just see that we had a lot of fluid and that baby was small, but baby's heart rate was good. She or he was kicking around, jumping around. My midwife said, it's interesting that I say that this is the best I've ever felt. This is my 5th pregnancy. How I feel physically, it's been the best one. Because every other patient she's had with polyhydramnios said that they were miserable and super uncomfortable, and I really haven't been, even though I don't even know if I want to tell you this. At the last measurement, my fundal height was 45 weeks. I just pray that that would level off or back off. The causes of polyhydramnios are many and sometimes usually unknown. It can be caused by an infection, and as you guys know, I had an infected lump thanks to a doctor who wouldn't remove it for me years ago, and it did get infected. So any kind of infection, I guess, can cause polyhydramnios. It can be caused by the baby having swallowing issues, like the baby not swallowing the amniotic fluid like they're supposed to. Or, I mean, the cause can be unknown, so praying and trusting God. I know He is answering our prayers. I know that He is. He has sent us so much encouragement. I can't even explain it. I do have to go in a few minutes, so I think I'll end this here. Love you guys. Thank you so much for praying. You are precious. You are good. Grace and peace.
Is anyone experiencing any symptoms?
No.
Have a great day.
This is my first time in a mask, and it's stupid.
First thing, when we show up to our anatomy scan, I am sent to a bathroom that is filthy. There is literally someone else's piss on a napkin. I have never seen anything like that at a doctor's office before. I am not impressed right off the get-go. The anatomy scan did not go well, not because of the health issues we saw. Those did not faze us, as we know that is a part of life. But that book you saw in the last clip was literally a book they handed us as they told us we should probably just let our child die of natural causes, because if the child had what we thought it had, that it would not be compatible with life anyway. This kind heart surgeon actually was not like that, and he was explaining to us one of the surgeries that our child will definitely need. She's going to need several surgeries. And yes, at this point, the baby has already been born, and we know that she's a girl, so I'll go ahead and just call her that from now on. But we definitely need prayer, and we covet your prayers. Our little girl, I don't know if I'm going to make another video, but she did end up being born shortly after this at 35 weeks and 5 days. She was only 2 pounds, 15 ounces, and needed a surgery right away to fix an opening between her stomach and lungs that shouldn't be there. And then she's also going to need an esophagus surgery and a heart surgery and a whole bunch of other help. So we aren't fazed by that, but we definitely have been traumatized by the language of the medical system. Our little girl has a lot of hope, but the way they talked to us at the anatomy scan was atrocious. If you would like to be praying for our family, definitely pray for her health. But also, they had to fly me to a different state to give birth to her so that she could have the surgeries she needs right away. So we are currently homeless in Utah and searching for a place to live for our family for the next couple months. And if you could pray that we would find something, that would mean a lot to us. A lot of the Airbnbs and things that we found around here, the rent is running about $4,000. So we are just trusting God with all of that. And of course, Ronald McDonald House and a lot of the other hospital housing is full.
What can God do?
Can He heal?
Can He heal?
Yeah.
So that's why we're going to pray.
The only
for
thing
our
that
baby to
the only
heal.
thing that makes
Okay.
the only thing that
And
we
when
heal
the baby's born, and
the only thing that we can heal with
just fixing the heart, then
is a
anything else
medicine.
that needs to be fixed, and then we're going to have doctors there to help do that, okay? Don't be scared, all right?